Hi everyone, it's Sue Plum here to share a scrapbooking process video with you. Now today's layout that I am sharing was created especially for Kitaholic Kits, as I am guest designing for Kitaholic for the month of November. So I am working with the brand new November kits, and this is the very first project that I have created using my kit. So the kits I am working with today is the scrapbook kit, and I am also working with the mixed media add-on kit that is also available. So I decided to create a mixed media layout to start, and I was working with some acrylic paint which just happened to be on my desk left over from a previous layout. So the colour I am working there was actually Payne's Grey, which is a very, very dark grey. You could substitute in just straight black paint if you wanted to. And you can see that I'm working on some white cardstock there with a wide brush. Now, this brush is actually 2 inches wide. It's a number 4 brush, and it is one of my favourite brushes to use. And I am using the dry brush technique there, so just wiping off as much of the excess paint as I can before I'm brushing it across my page, just so you can see those brush lines as I'm putting it on the page. And it keeps the page from getting too wet as well. So it's a really good way and an easy way to apply a light layer of paint, which of course helps it dry super fast as well, which is always good. So once I had my paint down on my cardstock, I just actually trimmed my cardstock down to measure 11 by 11 because I actually wanted to use that fabulous leaf print paper that you can see there, which is from the Jen Hadfield brand new The Avenue collection. And I actually wanted to use that as my page border. I thought that tied in really well with the photos that I was scrapping of my son, which were taken outside in the garden while he was dressed up in a costume. We had a little bit of a photo shoot, and I'll tell you some more about that after. So I had trimmed down my cardstock to measure 11 by 11 so that I could pop it on top of that leaf print paper. And being the Scrooge that I am, of course, I cut out the middle of that leaf print paper because I absolutely adore it and I want to use it for another project. So the other paper that I am working with there that you can see, that green, dark green pattern there, which is sort of like an Art Deco style pattern, that is actually from crepe paper from their new Marigold collection, and it's actually the cut apart sheet. You would have seen the back of it that I flashed there. I actually had to figure out where on the cut apart sheet I was going to cut because I love the cut apart sheet, but I really, really wanted to use this gorgeous dark green colour. So I had to figure out which part of the cut apart sheet I was going to use to leave me with the pieces that I wanted to use left over, if that makes any sense. So I cut down a large piece of the paper, which I had actually just cut as a rectangular shape, and then I decided that it lacked a bit of texture, so I just tore a little bit off along the top edge and then just used my fingers to distress the edge just to give it that beautiful torn look and sit it up from the page and, as I said, add texture to the page. So that was going to be the main part of the focal point of my layout. You can see when I sit the paper on there that there's not too much of the paint visible, and that was exactly how I wanted it. And if you are a regular mixed media person, you will understand that quite often you create these mixed media backgrounds and then a lot of it ends up getting covered up. Don't worry about that. Don't worry about covering it up. As long as some of it's visible, that's all that matters. So I had that green piece there, and then I decided I was going to use that large envelope there, which is really, really cute. I wanted to use that as a focal point of my page because there was quite a bit of a story that went with these photos. And my intention was to journal the story on one of the Pink Fresh journal cards and then tuck it inside the envelope. So I really wanted to make sure that the envelope was a focal point of the page. Now, you may be able to see on the envelope there that it actually contains the words, or says the words on it, baking together. That's what's printed on there. And I thought, yes, that works really well with these baking photos of my son, who was dressed as a dragon and making a cake out in our yard. Not really, it was an imaginary cake. But these photos were actually taken during our homeschooling period here in Queensland. And on this particular day, I was running my own homeschool program and decided that we were going to do a Dr. Seuss themed day. So I had actually had the boys study some stories written by Dr. Seuss so that they could really study the way that and the style that he writes. And then I had the boys write their own Dr. Seuss themed story later on in the day. And then as part of that activity, we got to dress up as our characters and we did a fun little photo shoot outside. So this is Hunter, and his story was called Fred the Dragon. So we dressed him up as Fred the Dragon, and my daughter did his makeup for him, and out we went into the yard and did our own little photo shoot so that we had some photos to go with our story. So there you go. That's the background of those photos. Anyway, back to the layout. You can see that because I had that envelope, which is that sort of peachy colour, as a large feature on the page, so it was smack bang in the centre of the page, I really wanted to tie that colour into the background as well, and I really wanted to create sort of an anchor point that I could sit my photos along. So I cut off a piece of that peach sort of check print paper that I could run horizontally across the page. And as I said, that just gave me an anchor point where I could put my photos onto, and it gave me something to contrast to the blocky sort of green paper, the bold green paper that was in the background that was very sort of dominating. I wanted to break up that green a little bit. Now, I wasn't exactly happy with the fact that I only had that singular torn edge there. So I decided to cut a small piece from that black and white doodle print paper, which is also from Jen Hadfield. And I just cut it the same length as the green one. I also tore along it, and then I distressed the edge of it as well, just to give that extra layer of texture, and so that it tied in with the one torn edge that I already had on the page. So there I was fiddling around. I knew I wanted my envelope to sort of be in the center of the page. I also wanted to add in another little layer to break up the sort of square, rectangle, blocky sort of shapes I had on the page. So I just used a little paper doily from my stash, which I popped behind my main feature photo. Now, my feature photo I had already matted with some white cardstock, and I already had some cardboard on the back of it, just to pop it up slightly from the page, because it helps your photos come to the forefront when you're designing a page. I know other people use foam for this purpose. Whatever you want to use is fine, but I find that lifting your photos up those few millimeters from the page will ensure that when a viewer looks at your page, it helps your photos come to the forefront of their eyesight. So it's just a little tip to help your photos not blend in the background, but, you know, stand out a bit more. Now, on that, back to that envelope there, as I said, it had the words baking together on it. Now, as you can see in the photos, Hunter wasn't actually baking with anyone. He was out there baking his cake alone, dressed as his dragon. So what I did is I grabbed the pack of Heidi Swap old school stickers, the 6x12 cardstock ones, and I grabbed a small label and just used that to cover up the word together, because I knew the word together was not relevant to the title of my page, but I really wanted the word baking to still be visible, and I really wanted that there's a little mixer printed on there as well, and I really wanted that to be visible as well, because it all tied in, and you'll see what I did with my punny little title. So my intention was to cover up the word together and substitute in the word memories. So as a little play on the making memories, I made the title of my page Baking Memories. Now, getting back to the layers under my photos there, I also used another larger label from that Heidi Swap old school sticker pack, which I popped in behind the top photo on the right. And it's one of the stickers that actually have the foiled edging around it. Now, you will see later on why I chose to use this one with the silver foil edging. Part of the reason I wanted to bring the silver in is because, I don't know, silver has this sort of mystical, magical type connotation to it. And given that my son was sitting there dressed as a dragon, and he also had a large silver bowl in his lap, I really wanted to pull in that silver colour and add, you know, a little bit of mystery and magic to the page. So I just used one of those label stickers just as an extra layer you can see that there's only part of it showing there, just sort of along the top edge and down the right edge. And it just helped also provide a frame for that photo. Now, on the left-hand side under the photo, you would have seen me apply something else on top of my doily, and it's one of the things that I tend to use on a lot of my pages, which is gauze. If you've seen my videos before, you would have seen me do it before, but I just use sheets of gauze that I get from the pharmacy, and I just cut a piece off, fray it up with my fingers, and then stick it under my photo. Now, if you've watched my previous video, you will know my tip is when you're using gauze to make sure you always use a strong liquid adhesive. Don't use a tape adhesive to stick the gauze down, because gauze does not like tape and it won't hold. It will end up falling off. So do yourself a favour, cut yourself out some time and just use a liquid adhesive with it to start with. So you can see on the pocket there, the envelope, that I have also stuck a black phrase sticker. This is from the smaller pack that you can see I'm working with there. They are also from Heidi Swap and are in this month's kits. And tucked into the envelope there is one of the Pink Fresh journal cards. And it actually says favourite recipe on it. And even though I wasn't putting a recipe on it, I thought that was perfect to tie in with the theme of my page, and that was where I was going to put my journaling. Now, I had all the photos in place and I had all the main elements in place, and now it was simply a case of going through and just adding some embellishments just to pretty up the page. So the ones I was working with there, it's the Floral Ephemera pack that is in this month's kit, also from Pink Fresh Studio, and it's chock full of flowers and leaves. That's it, just flowers and leaves. And I'm very happy to report that in this ephemera pack, there are lots of leaves. Now, one of the things that I have always thought previously is when people put out these floral specific ephemera packs, that they never balance out the flowers with enough leaves. Well, I'm happy to report that there are lots of different kinds of leaves in here, and they are beautiful. Lots of different shapes, really interesting to look at. So now I was just fiddling around, finding out, where I was going to place them on my page. I do tend to work on my pages with the good old rule of threes. So I usually look at creating 3 main embellishment clusters, and any sort of elements I put on the page, I tend to put in 3s. And I usually try and place them so that they form a visual triangle around my photos, or my main photo at least. So you'll see there that I've gone for the traditional top left, top right, bottom middle. And you can see if you drew a line between those 3 clusters, how they would form a triangle, and inside that triangle are your main points of interest. And that's what you want. It's a really easy thing to do. So if you're looking at your page and putting together a page and wondering, why doesn't my page not look balanced? Why is my eye not going to the photo? Have a look where you've placed your embellishments, draw that imaginary triangle, and see if your main point of interest, or your focal point that you want people's eye to go to, falls within that triangle. If it doesn't fall within that triangle, try shuffling your embellishments around to try and get the balance right. And I'm telling you, that's the easiest way to balance out a page. So I did create those 3 little clusters using some of the flowers, some of the leaves from the Pink Fresh pack. And now here I'm actually putting in the second word for my title. So I was using those puffy alphas that are also from Pink Fresh. Let me tell you, they are super cute. Super, super, super cute. I love them. I love the size. They're not too big. I love how puffy they are. They stand out from the page. I like the fact that they're mixed colours. I know that some people don't like to mix up the colours in their title, and you can see it fit perfectly. I didn't actually plan that. If it hadn't have fit, I would have just stuck it over onto the edge of the page, edge of the photo, whatever I needed to do, but it actually fit perfectly. So it was like it was meant to be. So I've got my title in place there. I'm now going back to that Heidi Swap sticker set, and I'm just looking for a couple of other little sort of word stickers that I can place on there. I do like, when I create a page, balancing out the visual elements with some text elements as well, so that when people's eye is moving around the page, there are actually things to read. So I'm just looking for some other little phrase stickers and words and things that I can put on there, figuring out the best place to put them. You can see I've gone back to the Heidi Swap, the 6x12 cardstock stickers there, and I just found that little sort of hello tag that I've put on the corner of the photo. That's actually silver foil. I know it looks blue right at that moment. It's actually silver foil. So again, I'm looking to tie in that silver. So I've actually, besides the silver foiled label that I used, I've used 2 other silver foiled stickers, and you will see that I'm going to tie in, here it comes, some more silver now. Now, this is actually the Ranger let me try that again. This is the Ranger Stickles Glitter Gel. Tongue twister. From the Mixed Media add-on kit. And the colour is Moon Dust. And it's a beautiful silver, iridescent. It's just really, really pretty. Now, initially I had thought about using it with the Vicky Booten stencils that come in this month's Mixed Media kit. But in the end, I decided I didn't want to draw away from the focal area of my page, but I still wanted to use it on the page. And I thought, well, and this was the first time I've ever used this product. I have to say, I really liked it. Now, I do love glitter. Don't get me wrong. I love glitter. I love shiny, sparkly things, but I despise loose glitter because that stuff is the herpes of the craft world. You can never get rid of it. Once you've got it, you're never getting rid of it. You're going to be vacuuming that stuff out of your carpet for the next 3 months, let me tell you. So having the glitter suspended in this gel, I think, is brilliant. It's an easy way to add some sparkle to your page, and there is no mess. There is no glitter falling on my desk. There is no glitter getting anywhere that I don't want it to be. So I just used a small flat paintbrush there. I dipped it in that pot and I just painted it on where I wanted it to go. So I added some sparkles to all of the leaves and the flowers and the little heart sticker that I'd used there. And I also, at the top there where I've got the acrylic paint, I just brushed a little bit over there as well because like I said, I just wanted to add that little touch of magic, for want of a better description, that little touch of magic to the page and that extra element that when you look at my page, it really helps lift it. It gives it an extra layer of dimension and it just gives it that little bit of something special. Now, one of the other items in this month's kit is that pack of Kaisercraft silver rhinestones there, the self-adhesive rhinestones. And because I had used that branch at the bottom there that had the little berries on it, and because I was trying to work the silver into the page, I actually just used some of the self-adhesive rhinestones to stick over the top of the berries there. So that some of them were sort of showing red, some of them were showing silver. Now, my journaling card. I did this off camera, but I've put a little photo up on the screen there. I actually printed out my journaling on my computer, and then on the back of it, I actually added a QR code because I had my son read a video of his story, which I added to my YouTube channel. I set it as private. I created a QR code, printed it out, put it on the back so that when we pull this layout out, I can scan that QR code with my phone and we can watch the video of him doing his story. It's just a fun little element that I learned many years ago from my friend Kim Jeffress, and my kids absolutely love it. They love the fact that they can watch themselves in a video that is relevant to the page. So, yep, journaling cards in there. The last little bit I'm putting there, I stamp the date, and then I'm just adding some splatters of black ink to tie it all together and just to help pull those dark colours in a bit more and messy it up and make it Sue style. And that was my page done. I hope you've enjoyed this today. Give me a thumbs up if you like what you see. Thanks so much for watching. Bye.